Okay,
Hello,
I could see
everyone.
the recording. Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is Alive in Lookout. It's been 1 year exactly since we had Alive in the Universe at the Venice Biennale. 28 artists over 28 days. The artist by the way, I'm Caroline Wiseman, and I'm here at the Aldborough Beach Lookout. And this room here is the art house at Aldborough Beach. The artist who was the first day, the lead artist was Issam Kourbaj at Alive in the Universe in Venice last year. So Issam, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Issam. Now you are in Cambridge, aren't you? Now, Issam, tell us, our brief to you was, what does it feel like to be alive in the universe? Tell us how you responded to that.
Interesting, actually. That is, I had this idea that in terms of, I was thinking about not only as a person, but actually as a human. And of course, being from Syria, of course, I was thinking about my Syrian fellows, what it means to be alive in the universe. And so the whole idea, when we discussed that intervention in Venice, I felt that I need to bring the issue that is I am currently currently still busy with the same issue. And I felt that it's really what I have done at that time, still current, still ongoing. So I, being of course the first one to speak now and the first one to exhibit, I felt actually, I don't know if anybody else is going to speak about it, but I'm really interested that is the word quarantine itself is originated in Venice. And it's really quite a very interesting thought that as many ships has to come and anchor outside Venice.
Okay. Yeah.
As part of the word quarantine. It's 40 days, and they have to be 40 days outside Venice before, especially if they are traveling from infected areas. So the idea that actually we were there with you and everybody else in that place in Venice, and particularly because I am really interested in ships, and so it felt that it's a continuation of the theme is still alive somehow.
Yes. Okay, lovely. So tell us about the project that you did in Venice. What did we do? What did you on that first day with your project, your wonderful boats?
Okay, what I have actually, I had 4 pieces, and I feel they are all still relevant. Mm-hmm. I did have a piece called Strike, where I have a video performance of burning matches, and still current because what's happening in Syria is still under strike. And I had another collection of boats relating to how many boats since the Syrian uprising. So it was each boat represent 1 month since the Syrian uprising, which was at that time 98 of them. And then I had another piece with a deformed typewriter called Siege, which was rotating against the canal and facing the water and facing the light. And the last one, which I felt that is very appropriate to what we are talking about, it's called Life on Hold, which was the dripping of the IV. I just felt that this is so relevant to what
because you were ill, weren't you? Tell us about that piece. It was natural. Yeah, you'd been ill, hadn't you? And that piece was a result of that.
It was actually that one particular, that piece, it's not only if you like have anything to do with my own life, but it's to do with the life of many, that is many Syrians and many refugees all around the world, that is they are still, their life is on hold. And I just felt that is having that IV dripping, it is very, very, and it's almost like I felt the canal outside, the river outside is life, and it's almost that is this water that is I have taken from there, and it's dripping in this overhead projector projecting on the wall. And I just felt that is having that burning of the matches as a strike, and having the water, the fire and water. It's a very ancient,
It was,
of course.
and it was so stunning, wasn't it, in the palazzo?
It's
Oh,
very beautiful having
palazzo.
that darkness. Actually, it's almost. I mean, of course, it's part of our conversation. That is how to relate to the space. So the space was very appropriate.
It was
and
right on the canal.
exactly.
I mean, that beautiful old Gothic palazzo.
And it's really, I felt that it was really great to have. Of course, it is the festival. Of course, the biennial is so big, and having it actually in the first day, it is in many ways it is a privilege, but equally it is a curse. It is, you don't know what is going to happen. But I think that we were blessed with very well attended with Ruth reading her poems.
And then
it was really,
we had Ruth's poetry. Tell us how
yes,
you got together with, this is Ruth Bedell. Tell us how you got together with Ruth.
I worked with Ruth for the last how many years? Probably 2009, the first project I did with her, and we still. And it's interesting that is, we did some work when she was the poet in residence at Christ College, and I was the artist in residence at that time, and we were working with different students, and then one day she visited my studio, and I had some work relating to Cuban refugees to Miami. And when we started the conversation, I didn't know that is, I would say something that is a few years later, it will appear in her book, in her poetry book, relating to that conversation about Cuban refugees, and all made out of chairs, that particular project. And here it is, refugees, Cuban refugees, and then Syrian refugees. She went to Lesbos and she phoned me from there, and she said, we really wanted to do something to do with refugees. And this is how it's all started.
So I'm thinking, Issam, that your work is really very much about the struggle of the human race. Is that right? Did you say that was a sort of a theme going through everything? I looked on I saw some of the earlier things that you did. I was looking on your website, and they were amazing sculptures, but you can see very strongly that theme going everything. Now, tell me what you're doing now then. How is the piece you did in Venice, how has that informed your work now? And tell me about what you've been doing during the last year.
What I have done, actually, is interesting. That is, I visited exactly, I am still working with the same theme. I am still working with the same struggle. So I went to visit my Syrian fellows in the Isle of Bute in Scotland. And it is really very important visit for me. I went with Ruth and we met many of the Syrian refugees there. And equally, we went together to Lesbos. And again, we met with we met many people in Lesbos, and we did some work in Athens and in Lesbos, Ruth and I. But it is still the theme of refugees, and if you like, life life on hold is somehow. It is still part of what I am doing now, and of course it is for me. Because I am in my studio, I feel I mean, the whole lockdown has changed nothing in my, if you like, my daily routine, because my studio is in the back of my garden. So this is what I come here after breakfast. I go only for if you like, breaks, and it's really quite. The only thing I notice when I go to the street, and it's suddenly the street is not the same place anymore.
No.
And of course, there is so many projects are going on. So it's what I have done in Venice is a fragment of what I am doing in terms of my projects relating to Syria. But of course, it is, if you like, still ongoing. So there is nothing yet finalized. It's still ongoing. I have project with many museums currently, and I'm working
I'm
towards.
looking at you, so I'm also looking behind you to look into your studio to see if I can see anything there. Have you got anything?
I try to make sure that you don't see very much,
Oh,
because
I want to see something.
it's just to keep things, so not to spoil them, because there is quite a lot of, I mean, I am really working with so many projects simultaneously, and having the privilege of my son being at home, he's really
Is
giving
he
me
an
a
artist?
wonderful.
What does he do?
He is, I would call him a wonderful photographer. He's studying in Bristol, and he's studying marketing. So, and every day he volunteers to come to my studio, working with me at least for a couple of hours, and we really have a wonderful conversation as we work together. It's really, in many ways, this is in many ways it is a privilege, because it's life is far too fast, and having this chance to spend some time with him is great.
It's a good time for introspection, isn't it? Really, I think a lot of the artists have said that, and we know, when is it we ever are given? You know, we always say we don't have time, then suddenly now we have all the time in the world. We suddenly have, well, we don't know, it's been weeks, it's going to be a couple of months when we actually have all this time for introspection, maybe. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with your introspection, with your art, and because you're so, you know, you've done so many interesting things. I think it's been fascinating to find out what does happen, Issam, after your months of lockdown.
Of being here at home, in the studio, in the lockdown. Actually, it's interesting that this is all artists what they do. I believe that they are usually, as many artists, they have to work in isolation. So the idea of being isolated, it's part of our nature, that is to work. And of course, it depends what kind of form of art. Other form of art, of course, they have to be as a group of people. But in my subject, I feel that I have to be in my own working to reflect on of course what I'm doing and the materials. But what is really interesting, that one of the things that it was really interesting for me, that having the chance to go and visit Venice and visit the biennial, and being with the other artists that is you organize, it just felt right to have this, if you like, because of the materials that is we were showing there, and we created it together, in terms of that you could see that this is almost like what I mean. It's just, what a brilliant idea now you came up with, that is actually to reflect on the past, but equally to reflect on the present. I found that is your idea of a life in the lockdown. It's a very nice bridge between the past and the present. So well done to you.
Well,
so
thank you so much, Issam, for saying that. And Issam, so it was wonderful having you as our lead artist for Alive in the Universe at the Venice Biennale last year. And so I'm going to say goodbye to you now for our first session of Alive in Lockdown in 2020. So thank you so much, Issam. It's Issam Kourbaj. Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Bye, Issam.
Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing how they will speak about it. So I will follow it myself. So thank you very much for thinking of me.
Bye-bye, Issam.
All the best. Bye-bye.